Hi, welcome to SBC Network. I'm Drew along with Alan and Morgan, and today we're going to be discussing our MLB trade deadline predictions along with some other takes along the second half of the season. Morgan, why don't you start? Who can you see being moved at
I
the deadline?
I could see some moves in the Cubs, the Chicago Cubs. They started off okay. They hit a very good strong spot, and since then they've been fairly weak. I think maybe it is time to start to and realize that their what they thought could be a dynasty is over. I think they need to release some of those players. Javi Baez, although he has lost a lot, he's not doing very well at all this season. I think he's still worth something, and I think that maybe they could either get a temporary shortstop and get a free agent shortstop next season and just try to fill that spot out right now, or they could try to deal a big option like Chris Bryant or Anthony Rizzo, two extremely good players who, in a dark spot of the Cubs, are doing extremely well right now. Specifically, Chris Bryant. I think that maybe that could be a trade. Try to get some draft picks, or maybe another mediocre first baseman or above average first baseman, and some pretty good future draft picks.
Yeah, Alan, who could you see being moved out of the American League?
I think I could see Joey Gallo out of the Texas Rangers. Look, the Rangers are a long way from being contenders, but they can really accelerate that rebuild if you trade David Dahl or Joey Gallo. You can get a boatload of prospects. You can get above average players to help you out right now. So I really don't see why you shouldn't trade Gallo.
Yeah, I mean, out of the Marlins, obviously Starling Marte's been it's been announced that he's most likely going to be traded. So I want to move to another struggling team, the Diamondbacks. Their third baseman Eduardo Escobar has been very, very good this year, and I think I could see him honestly being moved to a team that's doesn't necessarily need a third baseman per se, but maybe in the American League, someone who could use a utility player or a designated hitter. He can be moved for his bat or his, he's got decent fielding skills. So I think, the rebuilding Diamondbacks could really get like a decent draft pick haul and maybe some prospects for him. He's been a breakout player this season. So next, do we have any, hot takes for the second half of the season? Any predictions?
I think I think that the San Francisco Giants are going to start to kind of keep going and start to run away with the division. I know the Dodgers still look really good, and the Dodgers are really, really good still. But I think that the Giants are hitting an upswing. I think they're going to be extremely good the rest of the season, and I think they have a somewhat hot chance to start to run away with this division, maybe.
Alan?
I'm going to say the exact opposite. I think the Dodgers are going to take this division from the Giants. I mean, you look at all their options, like we said at the trade deadline, Joey Gallo, Eduardo Escobar, Chris Bryant. I mean, they're probably going to get one of those players, so that'll really help increase their depth and power hitting lineup, because their lineup is probably one of the best in baseball. And I think the Giants have been doing really, really well, and I think that they will continue to do well. But I think the Dodgers are going to start to hit a hot streak.
Yeah, I'm gonna move more away from the Giants. I'm gonna go to the other coast. I think Jacob DeGrom, once he gets back from the injured list, I think he's gonna bring his ERA down under 1 and set the MLB all-time record. I think at one point in the season, he was sporting like a 7.42 ERA plus. And just for reference, the MLB record ERA plus is like 2.19. So he was 500 above the MLB record for that statistic, which is it's an adjusted stat for ERA, but it still tells a pretty good story and paints a good picture of how dominant DeGrom's been. And I think he's gonna pull it off, and he's gonna bring his ERA down under 1. So we're gonna open it up to studio questions at this time. Yeah.
Yes.
So I have a question specifically about the New York Yankees. Do you see them being buyers or sellers at the trade deadline?
I can see them being buyers specifically because they are a team that's always in contention, and I don't think now's the time to rebuild for them. Really, like they've got great players. They were good last year. They're just, I don't know, something's not clicking for them this year. I think it does have to do with like the rash of injuries they're experiencing, and Aaron Judge is missing a lot of time. He's on the COVID list right now, but I think they'll buy. Honestly, I don't see them doing anything else.
I also think they will buy, but for that reason, also for another, I don't think they have really anything to sell. I don't think they have enough stuff to where they can still be contenders, which I think they can be, and give away stuff. I don't think they can give away anything without giving up. Like, they can't give away any good players right now, and all they have, I say, are good to above average players that are worth anything. I don't think they can get anything for their average to below average players. I think the only thing they could get is for some of their elite and top tier talent, which I don't think they're willing to give away.
Alan?
Yeah, I agree with you guys. I think it's buying just simply. I think they're going to be buying just simply because, let's be honest, is there really such a thing as a rebuild when you're talking about the Yankees? No, there's not. We saw them a little sneak peek of what they're trying to do if you remember when they acquired Tim Locasher from the Diamondbacks. So I could see them potentially getting Escobar for a utility purpose. Chris Bryant, I think, and maybe even Jake Marisnick, because the Cubs, I mean, they've already traded Jock Peterson, so they've already proven that, hey, nobody's safe, so why not trade Marisnick or Baez or Rizzo or one of those guys?
One thing that I also like to talk about is Jock Peterson. Jock Peterson was on a pretty solid roll with the Cubs. I was a little bit surprised when he got traded. How about you guys? Were you guys surprised by that trade, or did you see it coming?
I honestly can say that it was only a matter of time, because the Cubs, let's be honest, they're not going to be contenders this year. They depending on how their offseason goes, they probably won't even be contenders next year. So I think that this is not a rebuild for the Cubs. I think they're going to be in the midst of a retooling process, which will take them a year or so. So I think that trading Baez and adding depth to a farm system that probably needs it is probably the best idea that they could come up with.
Yeah, I think the word retooling there is really good. I think a lot of people are quick to jump on the full-on rebuild, blow everything up, and tank for draft picks. But I think retool is a better word there, because they're a big market team. They can get some free agents. So that's going to conclude our segment on the MLB second half. Thank you for watching. I've been Drew, and this is Morgan and Al.